Most of the pardons that we hear about are pardons where someone has served their time, they paid their debt to society, and they're going to end up, getting it removed.
Do we like any presidential pardons?
I could think of a couple. Janine, I'm sure, could think of a couple.
Sure.
Janine, Richard said...
Subpoena Joe Biden's sister. You didn't know any of that.
You know what? Richard, if you don't know what you're talking about,
I do know what I'm talking about, but why would...
Seems like someone struck a nerve there. Could it be that one of those measly tax evaders that Judge Janine was minimizing as not a pardon, but, a pardon was her ex-husband? Funny how it's okay when it benefits them, isn't it?
Donald Trump has pardoned tax evaders. That's what you just said.
And weapons and firearm charges.
Okay, hold on. Here's the bottom line. There are pardons and there are pardons.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
During a Fox News segment in which hosts discussed the despicable actions of a former president pardoning someone, what's next? Appointing them to be ambassador to the Middle East?
Honestly, maybe what President Biden should have done is not just pardon his son, Hunter, but name him ambassador to France. His daughter is married to Jared Kushner. He pardoned Jared Kushner's father. This man tried to blackmail and intimidate a witness in a federal criminal case against him by hiring a prostitute to seduce the witness and lure him back to a hotel room where the guy had staged a hidden camera. He filmed the sexual encounter and then sent the tape to the wife of the witness.
As we know, it matters not to Fox hosts how rife their hypocrisy is when the red light goes on. However, when the subject veers into personal territory, watch how defensive host Jeanine Pirro gets after co-host Richard Fowler mentions that Trump has pardoned numerous of his aides and allies, one of them who happened to be the ex-husband of Judge Janine. And by the way, if ever a picture said 1,000 F-bombs, it was this.
Most of the pardons that we hear about are pardons where someone has served their time, they paid their debt to society, and they're going to end up, getting it removed. He paid his debt to society. Yeah. That's the end of it.
Do we like any presidential pardons?
I could think of a couple. Janine, I'm sure, could think of a couple.
Sure.
Judge Janine, a lot of things that I'm not sure are completely accurate. Would you like to jump in?
Okay, I want to start here. Donald Trump has pardoned tax evaders. That's what you just said.
And weapons and firearm charges.
Okay, hold on. Here's the bottom line. There are pardons and there are pardons. Now, there are pardons that occur after someone has served jail time, has paid his debt to society, is remorseful, and then there are pardons for a dirtbag who has grabbed a garbage bag and collected cash from around the world, from the Ukrainians, the Russians, the Russians, the Ukrainians, and the Chinese, $1.5 billion that he was given the right to invest after his father sent him over to China. This is a different scenario. The corruption in the Biden family is so deep, it is so real, that Joe Biden knows he can't just pardon him for the gun charge, which he was found guilty of by a jury of his peers, or the tax charges, which he himself pled guilty to. So I don't know about selective prosecution, but he has to go back to January of 2014. Now, why is that, Richard? The reason for that is because there is so much corruption in the whole damn family that they have to go back to January. If you recall, when Donald Trump was president, he makes a simple phone call and said, I'm hearing this stuff about Burisma and money being withheld unless a prosecutor is removed. And Joe admits to it. And as soon as Donald Trump makes a call about that, they impeach him. Why? Because he got too close to the reality of the corruption that was, let me finish, the corruption that was going on in the Biden crime family. That's why the pardon has to go back. And I guarantee you, his brother's going to get it. His sister's going to get it. Everybody in the Biden crime family is going to get it. And I don't even want to hear an argument that this guy's not a liar. He is a liar from the get-go. Joe Biden has done nothing but enrich his family. And if I don't ever want to hear anyone call Donald Trump a liar again.
To be fair, there was a Trump-appointed U.S. attorney that investigated Hunter Biden, that investigated the Biden family, and the only person they charged was Hunter. So if there was all the things that you say were true, then they would have investigated.
Because they allowed the statute of limitations
they would have investigated his brother. They would have investigated the daughter. They would have investigated all the people. They didn't do that.
Here, Richard.
But that didn't happen.
Don't play games with me.
I'm not playing games with you. I'm telling you what actually happened. You're living in revisionist history.
You do not have the Department of Justice and the power to indict. Who's going to indict?
He was the special counsel. He had special special counsel authority.
Put a deal in front of a judge that was so corrupt.
He could have also subpoenaed Joe Biden's brother. He could have also subpoenaed Joe Biden's sister. He didn't do any of that.
You know what? Richard, if you don't know what you're talking about,
I do know what I'm talking about, but why wasn't
there
subpoenas issued?
There were subpoenas issued, and they didn't show up. So cut the crap.
All right. I'm glad we had the last word there.
That's right. The proud rider of her own high horse, Judge Jeanine successfully lobbied former President Donald Trump in an 11th hour attempt to ensure he pardons her ex-husband. According to CNN's reporting at the time, Pirro was upset that her ex-husband, Albert J. Pirro, wasn't on Trump's final pardon list, and that message was conveyed to the White House and its former resident. This, according to a former White House advisor during that period. Albert Pirro was convicted on conspiracy and tax evasion charges after improperly deducting $1.2 million of his personal expenses in business write-off. The thing is, it wasn't until after Jeanine Pirro got involved that he was considered for a pardon. You know, pardons, right? Those disastrous things that are only terrible when Biden does it to protect his own son from political retribution, but not petty little $1 million tax crimes.
I think we can hold multiple thoughts in our head at one time on Hunter Biden. Number one, did Joe Biden lie when he said he wouldn't pardon Hunter Biden? Clearly he did. Is he a hypocrite for saying no one is above the law and then putting his son above the law? Yes. Should the presidency be used to protect family members? No. I think we can all agree on those points. Having said that, the kind of outrage from Republicans and some in the media is a little bit kind of ridiculous. We all know that Hunter Biden was targeted. The president is right when he says that they went after his son because he was his son. Anyone called Hunter Smith wouldn't have been prosecuted in the same way for the tax evasion and the gun form that many people get wrong or provide incorrect information on. And as for the Republicans kind of crying foul right now, you have Kash Patel. I know we're going to talk about Kash Patel, who is a Trump toady who's about to be appointed FBI director if he can get through the Senate. He's on record saying he's going to go after the Bidens. The Republicans have made very clear they plan to carry on going after the Biden family. So is it understandable that Joe Biden is trying to protect his son from future investigations? It is understandable. That doesn't make it right. But come on, as you mentioned as well a moment ago, Amy, Charles Kushner is about to become ambassador to France. He is the father-in-law of Ivanka Trump, who Trump pardoned in December 2020. So, you know, let's just get rid of the presidential pardon power, which would require a constitutional amendment. I think that's the source of all the corruption.
And of course, as we talk about pardons, I mean, it would be very interesting to see President Biden, very significant pardon, for example, Leonard Peltier, or talk about pardons or commutations for people on federal death row. Biden himself has said he's against the death penalty.
You've got about 40 people, I believe, still on the federal death row. Yes, pardon them now, because we remember when Donald Trump was leaving office last time, he actually escalated executions at the federal level at a rate we hadn't seen before for several years. So yes, pardon 40 people on death row, pardon 3,000 people in prison, Amy, on federal marijuana offenses, outdated, ridiculous marijuana offenses. Pardon them, not just your own, former addict son. There's so much a president could do with the presidential pardon power for good. We saw Trump misuse it in all sorts of ways for people like Paul Manafort and Charles Kushner and Roger Stone. Now we're seeing Joe Biden misuse it for his own son. Even if it is understandable, it's still wrong. Why not use it for a good cause? But as I say, I would rather get rid of the pardon power. But of course, we can't do that without a constitutional amendment.
Pirro was one of countless white-collar criminals Trump made sure to pardon before he left office the first time. And as he readies himself for his second go at it, he's just appointing them back into positions of power. Because as we all know, when it comes to being rich, the system is quite literally rigged in your favor.
His name is Charles Kushner. His son Jared is married to Ivanka Trump. And so he got a pardon. Charles Kushner served 2 years in federal prison, but then I'm sure just on the merits of the case, he got a full pardon from Donald Trump in Trump's first term. And now this weekend, Trump just named him, that same guy, that ex-con. He just announced that he will name him ambassador to France. And he did that announcement right after he announced that the father of the guy married to his other daughter, Tiffany, he will be Trump's senior advisor on the Middle East.
But at least there are a few Fox News hosts in rotation who have the gall to bring this up, especially when this is the result.
Really? If you're going to cut that much money, you're going to the Pentagon and you're going to Social Security and Medicare. And those are things, at least in terms of the entitlements, that Donald Trump, right, you like those programs. Yeah. I love having an audience.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Midas by signing up to the Midas Touch newsletter at MidasTouch.com/newsletter.